Hi everyone, it's Joe here from Lawn Solutions Australia and welcome to another episode of Turf Talk, where again I'm joined by my favourite colleague Nathan to discuss all aspects of lawn and what's going on at the moment. Nathan, how you going?
About time you admitted it, Joe.
It's been bubbling up inside me.
Yeah. No, you're my best colleague for sure. Thanks. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're not going to cover sort of seasonal sort of tips like we tend to do. This one we're going to look at some of the things we see out and about there, social media and elsewhere, common myths, I guess, in the lawn care industry, things that people do and think and say that may not actually be true. They might actually be a myth. So today we're going to do a bit of a myths busted style type thing. And let's get into it. Let's do it. All right, so the first one we see a lot of is that grass clippings cause thatch. Okay. Is this true?
So I guess we're referring to people leaving their clippings on their lawn or mulch mowing as opposed to using a catcher and picking them up. What thatch is the build-up of organic or dead organic matter in your lawn. You know, when your lawn gets quite spongy to walk on or it's really hard to push a mower through. Generally, that's thatch build-up, which has to be removed through scarifying, verticutting, dethatching. So there is a common theory or thought or myth out there that by leaving clippings on your lawn or mulch mowing, you are making your lawn more susceptible to producing thatch. Not quite true. So grass clippings have a lot of wonderful benefits for your lawn. If you fertilise your lawn regularly and you have a healthy lawn, that means the leaf of that particular strain of grass is very healthy and it's got a lot of nutrients in it. So by mowing and leaving clippings on the lawn, they actually put a lot of nutrients back into your lawn. It's an organic way of fertilising your lawn. It's not as effective as applying a granular fertiliser, but it definitely puts nutrients back down onto your lawn. I know I have an auto mower, so I don't actually mow my lawn, but one of the great benefits of an auto mower is they consistently put small amounts of clippings back into your lawn, so it's actually kind of fertilising. You don't really need to fertilise near as much when you're putting clippings back into your lawn, but
so that's the key thing, just frequency of mowing.
The frequency of mowing, that's 100% right. You can't wait till your lawn's 100 mil high, then cut it down to 50 mil and leave clippings all over your lawn. It'll create thatch as well as a host of other problems because it's shading out your grass. But if you're mowing regularly, there's nothing wrong with leaving and dropping a little bit of clip on your lawn consistently. In saying that, it's always good if you're going to do that every couple of mows to put the catcher on and really tidy it up. But if you're a frequent mower, you can drop little bits of clipping onto your lawn. If you want a really neat manicured lawn, obviously it's always best to put a catcher on it, particularly if you're cutting sub 15 mil. You probably should be putting a catcher on. But if you've got a large area, you don't have a catcher, you've got a ride on or whatever, and you're doing it pretty frequently, dropping little bits of clippings will not cause thatch issues immediately, and it'll actually be quite beneficial to your lawn.
Great. So keeping with the mowing, I guess, I'll skip forward a little bit. You must stick to a strict mowing pattern. This is a bit of a funny one because in some cases you're looking to achieve a certain outcome, but in other ways it's not beneficial. So why is that?
I always tell people to change up their mowing patterns. It's okay if you stay the same way. Say you want to cut stripes in your lawn or you've done a row over so or whatever it is. You have to mow in a certain way to get that striped effect that you're after. But in general, you should change up your mowing patterns reasonably regularly. Reason being is there's probably two main reasons. One, if you keep mowing the same way, you actually cause your lawn to develop a bit of a memory where the actual leaf blades continue to fall the same way and you don't actually cut them as efficiently as you normally would. The other thing you'd have to look at, particularly if you've got a push rotary mower, is you can leave wheel ruts and wheel marks if you're always mowing the same way. The wheels actually have more weight than what you're thinking and they actually leave more of a depression than what you think. So if you're constantly mowing over the same path, you will develop ruts and it will have a long-term detriment to your lawn. But changing up the pattern and the way you mow, it'll always give you the best cut because it's not training the grass to stay leaning a certain way. It's mixing it up to make sure you're always taking leaf off to where you need to. So look, if you want to get stripes in your lawn, great. Keep mowing that way for a couple of weeks to get the desired stripe look you want, but it's always good to mix it up and change the direction. So if you're going east-west, start mowing north-south every so often just to make sure you're always cutting the leaf blades and you're not training them to fall a certain way. And to avoid wheel ruts.
Yeah, I guess. And if you are looking for the stripes, double cut, triple cut.
Yep, absolutely.
But then next time go the opposite direction and try something different, and which that's what we see a lot of is, obviously you want to mix it up and try something new the next time you mow for some stripes. So it's a good fun thing to try anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Next myth we see a lot of, and it's probably a bit of a negative towards lawns, and it's probably not necessarily true, but I'll let you answer that one, Joe. Lawns need a lot of water.
Yeah, this is a frustrating one in our industry because lawns have I would say an environmentally unsustainable reputation, but in certain areas of Australia and in certain segments of the market, people see lawns as a water guzzler, and that just simply isn't the case. Look, when you establish a lawn, sure, it needs water to establish. You need to water it, pretty heavily to get the roots down of the lawn. But an established lawn that's correctly looked after needs virtually no water in normal conditions. When I say no water, you can keep an acceptable or a good-looking lawn simply with rainfall. Obviously, that depends if you're in a drought or if you're in a very arid environment, like when you head inland in New South Wales. But where most of the population is on the coast, once your lawn's established, you can get away with virtually not watering it, provided we get consistent rainfall. The shorter your lawn is, the more water it's going to need. So if your desired effect is a 10 mil beautifully manicured, striped up lawn, you will need irrigation on that lawn to keep it looking good. But say you got a buffalo lawn, a kikuyu lawn, something you generally leave a little bit longer. Once established, lawns don't need much water. The thing is you got to keep in mind is you got to get some really important cultural practices in place. If you are going to irrigate, less frequent, deeper irrigations are good. You've got to get the water down as deep as you possibly can. What grass roots do is they chase water. So if you're watering right down into the profile, the roots will get deeper and deeper. And then in periods of dry weather, they can access deeper water resources. So you don't need to irrigate as much. So yeah, this annoys me, this one, is when people say they're absolute water guzzlers. The other thing to this is, companies like ours, we invest a lot of money in developing products that use less water. So you take Tiff Tuff now, which is 38% more drought tolerant than pretty much everything else on the market that isn't a couch grass, and it's got the Smart Approved watermark as well. So by making sustainable choices, you can get away with a lawn that uses virtually no water at all once established. So I think that is a big myth.
Yeah,
for me.
And a big mistake we get, I guess is the question we get regularly is, how often should I be watering my lawn, or when should I turn the irrigation on and off, how frequently and for how long? Mm-hmm. Usually the answer is quite simple. It's just water your lawn when it needs it.
Yeah.
Irrigation's obviously great and it's really helpful, but turn it on, set it to a couple of days when the weather is extreme.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't use it. And it's all about longer, deeper soakings are going to make your lawn more drought tolerant.
And your lawn will tell you when it's thirsty. Depending on the variety you have, a lot of the times your leaf will start to actually curl or fold a little bit, particularly in zoysia grass, but buffalo does it as well. When you see that curl or a slight discoloration, your lawn is going, hey, I'm a little bit thirsty. Same in buffalo grass. If you see a seed head, it's showing a little bit of sign of stress, which either means it needs fertilising or needs irrigation. So your lawn will generally tell you. But just to be clear, this is dependent on the look that you want. If you want a beautifully manicured lawn, you will need to irrigate more regularly than someone who just wants their lawn looking good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that segues into the next one, which is actually when to water your lawn, which is extremely important in regards to making the most of the water and not causing further issues. So when is the right time?
Yeah, so the issue with this is when people get this wrong, it can actually cause problems in their lawn, some problems that can be hard to get rid of. So the best time to irrigate, let's talk an established lawn now. If you have an established lawn and it's quite dry and you're looking to irrigate it, the best time you can do that is early morning. What you don't want is you don't want your lawn staying wet or damp for an extended period of time. So the mistake people often make is they water in the late afternoon or the evening. What that does is because the sun's going down or gone down, the water that you put on your lawn isn't evaporating. So your lawn is staying wet for an extended period of time. And if this is in the warmer months, you're actually creating a humid environment by leaving your lawn damp, and there's still heat in the air because it's summer and it's a night, but there's no sun to get rid of the water. So you're creating basically a hot, wet, damp condition on your lawn. And for those that know a little bit about lawns, that's just an invitation for disease straight away. So a lot of the disease issues that we see on lawns are due to the fact that people are irrigating their lawns at the wrong time. So late afternoon, early evening, your water just can't get away. Where if you irrigate an established lawn in the morning, like you should, it's getting the water it needs, but the sun is also there to really dry it up so it's not staying wet for long periods of time. That's really what you want to avoid. And that's for an established lawn. For a new lawn, it's a little bit different. So When to water your lawn, if you're talking a new lawn, is if it's in the heat of summer, I'm not going to say constantly, but you need to water 2, 3, 4 times a day, depending on how hot, how windy it is. What you can't let a new lawn do is you can't let a new lawn dry out. So it's really important to water in the morning, yes, but it's also really important to make sure that lawn's getting water in the absolute heat of the day. A good little tip you can try if you're at home is whenever you water your lawn, grab a towel, tea towel, normal beach towel, whatever you need, dunk it in water and hang it on the fence or hang it on the clothesline. When that towel's dry, it's time for your lawn to get another water. So if we're 35 degrees and windy, that towel could dry every hour. That means you should be watering your lawn every hour. Again, that's only for the first couple of weeks until it gets established. I know that seems like a lot, but if it's hot, your lawn's going to establish quicker as well.
It's all about making the lawn, you're investing in the lawn for the long term, making it more drought tolerant for the future. The water you need now to get it established is about saving water once it is established and making a lawn that doesn't need watering as often, and that's the key. So
absolutely.
We're all about not using as much water on your lawn as you expect to, and that's a bit of a lead into a PSA at the moment. This time of year, turn off irrigation if it's still on certain times of the day. Turn it off completely. Shouldn't need it again until at least September, October in most states.
Yeah, like in summer, if you get 10 to 14 days of no rain, you probably should be irrigating your lawn. But this time of year, you just don't have to. We don't have the heat. We don't have the sunlight. We don't have the evaporation. We're actually seeing a little bit here on our research plots, a little bit of moss starting to develop because we've probably left the sprinklers on too long and the water is sitting there. So we're starting to get a couple of issues, but we've totally shut our irrigation off now. Like we only did it the other day because we put a bit of pre-emergent down when we had to irrigate it in, but you shouldn't have to irrigate now until we get hot again, I'd say. Yeah.
So our next one, cutting grass shorter will make it grow slower. A lot of people don't like mowing. A lot of people love mowing. But I guess when you do mow, the common thing people tend to do is try and mow it heaps short so that they maybe got a longer period before they have to mow again. What's the thinking behind this?
Don't do that if you're thinking of doing it. Cutting grass shorter will probably generally mean the opposite, that you're going to have to mow it more. Obviously, if your lawn's at 100 mil and you cut it to 20 mil and you like it at 100 mil, you're not going to have to mow it again until it grows. But if you want a good-looking lawn and you don't want to mow quite as much as the person next door to you, leave it that little bit longer. You'll be mowing less. If you cut grass short, and you want to keep it short, you're going to have to mow far more regularly. So to give you an idea, if you have a Tiff Tough lawn or a Cooch lawn or a Zoysia lawn and you want it cut, I know Simon, one of our colleagues here, cuts his at 7 mil. He's mowing 2 to 3 times a week in summer just to keep it at that height. So if you want a real shortcut lawn, you will have to mow more. I know at my previous house I had a Sir Walter lawn and I liked it at that 45, 50 mil mark with a little bit of leaf on it. I was cutting once a week in summer at absolute most. I could even stretch it out to once every sort of 10 days and you can be fine with that. So if you want a good looking lawn but you don't want to be mowing all the time, look at mowing a little bit higher. You see those manicured lawns, they're manicured the way they are because of mowing regularly. I know people all the time, and we get this question, I want my lawn to look like the golf course down the road. No worries, just hire 4 people and cut it 4 times a week and it will. Lawns that are shortcut and look good, the main reason they look good is because they're mowing regularly. So mowing shorter will not mean you have to mow less. If you don't like mowing at all, but you still want a nice shortcut lawn, you can achieve that. One of the most underused or undervalued products in our industry, I believe, are PGRs, plant growth regulators, like Primo Max. We sell them on our lawn store, and you can have a shortcut lawn and have a quarter the amount of mowing that people generally get to achieve a shortcut lawn by applying a plant growth regulator like Primo Max, a PGR. You've probably heard of them if you're on the lawn social networks out there. They're a pretty popular product now, but they keep colour in lawns. They subdue seed head production and they encourage lateral growth. So if you've got damage to your lawn, they're still going to repair. But that's the only way you can really have a shortcut lawn and not commit fully to mowing is putting a PGR on it.
So one of our last ones here, and it's time appropriate, I guess, as we lead into the cooler months. You can't lay turf in winter. We see this a bit. Is it true? Is it not true?
Absolutely not. We've got 45 members of Lawn Solutions Australia, and they're all around the country, and they all sell lawn 365 days a year. You can install lawn in winter, no problem at all. There's actually a few benefits to installing lawns in winter, and we've already spoken about it quite heavily in this podcast, is irrigation. if you install a lawn in winter, you will save water, no doubt about it, because you just don't have to irrigate that lawn as much as what you'll need to if you install in the middle of summer. Obviously, if you're installing in winter, depending where you are in Australia, if you have dormancy in lawns around you, your lawn will not be putting roots down very quickly during the dead of winter. If you're in a warmer climate, it'll establish all year round. But if you're in Vic or southern New South Wales or Interland somewhere, or SA, southern WA, and you put a lawn down in winter, you have to expect that you will not be having full establishment until the weather warms up again. But the benefits is you're going to be irrigating less because the evapotranspiration is less because there's no heat in the air. But the other positive there is you won't have to mow. So if you can put a lawn down in winter, there's less irrigation and there's less mowing. Obviously, you've got to be very careful with your use, but it doesn't matter if everything's totally dormant and you're in a really cold part of Australia. You can definitely install lawns all year round, and winter shouldn't be a deterrent for people that are looking to do so. Always talk to your turf supplier first about some tricks and tips in your specific location. But with some of these newer varieties, Tiff Tuff's a perfect example. It's a beast when you're establishing it. It can throw roots down really quickly. As long as you've got a little bit of heat in the air, you can get some root establishment in the shoulder months or even in winter.
Warm season variety, it tends to hold on quite well.
It does.
It still tends to establish even when the conditions are cooling. Buffaloes and cuckoos and things like that might slow down a little bit more, a bit quicker, but Tiff Tuff seems to keep going a little bit longer.
Yeah, so if you're a little bit worried, say you're this time of year in May and you want to get some establishment prior to winter, depending on your location, a grass like Tiff Tuff would probably be your best bet. But look, you can lay all of our varieties all year round. You've just got to ask a couple more questions and just be sure to probably keep traffic to a bit of a minimum.
Yep.
But the positives are there's no mowing and you're going to save water.
Yep. I guess a big concern people have about laying turf in winter, and it's not just a new lawn, it's an established lawn as well. And this leads into another myth, I guess, is that a brown lawn is a dead lawn. Is it true? What does it mean?
It's funny with this because people buy plants in the middle of winter and they've got no leaves on them and they don't ring up and say, my tree's dead because it's deciduous. It's the same thing with lawns. Instead of being deciduous, lawns go dormant, so they lose colour. These are warm season grasses I'm talking about now, buffalo, kayakoo, zoysia. So they're warm season grasses, so the benefit you get is you get beautiful colour and drought tolerance and environmental friendly traits over summer, but you're going to go dormant during the winter. If you see a dormant lawn during winter, your lawn is not dead. It doesn't need a heap of water to kick back into the gear. It's basically going to sleep for the winter. It's going into hibernation. It'll lose a bit of colour. It'll stop growing. Some people actually prefer it because they're not mowing quite as much. What they don't like is the colour loss at times. So they pour water on it, they pour fertiliser on it, they try and green it up. If your lawn is dormant, it means it's not growing. So any fertiliser that you put on it, it's just not going to be effective at all because the lawn's not growing, so it can't take any of the nutrients in. What you can do is use pigments like Colour Guard, Lawn Solutions Colour Guard Plus. It's a natural pigment. So it's a cosmetic, essentially. It will turn your lawn green instantly if it's dormant over winter, but otherwise, don't stress, just embrace it. Learn to accept it with a warm season grass. The trade-off for 9 months of beautiful colour and drought tolerance is 3 months of slight colour loss.
It's definitely an education thing. And I know there is cool season grasses, obviously, that stay green throughout the cooler months. You might say they stay green all year round, but it tends not to be the case given that they don't cope real well in summer. If they don't get an excessive amount of water, and that goes back onto the other thing about lawns needing a lot of water. It's a common myth because of cool season varieties that are extremely thirsty.
I think that's spot on. If you're looking at fescue or a ryegrass lawn or a blend of sorts, they can be wonderful lawns, don't get me wrong, but the reason why they've sort of gone out of popularity is they are just not drought tolerant at all. So if you want a green lawn all year round and you choose to use a cool season grass, just be prepared to keep them sprinklers running pretty much all summer, because 2-3 days of hot weather and no irrigation, that lawn will fail. What's the last one you got here?
Lawns are boring to talk about.
That's a myth.
Bit of an odd one. That's definitely a myth.
That's a myth.
I think when we have 20-minute long chats on a podcast about lawns, it proves that it's probably not. It depends on the listener, I guess.
Yeah. But no, not at all. And I think that's a testament now. I think through COVID, this changed mainly where people were forced to spend time at home. People realised there was actually a lawn out the back of their house when they weren't travelling around, and they could actually spend some time at home. And interest in lawns has gone up. Pick a number.
Exponentially.
Exponentially is a good word. Thanks, Dave. You look at some of the forums on Facebook and stuff now, they've got 100,000 members and people are fanatical about lawns. So please don't be hesitant to bring up lawns in a social conversation. You won't be looked at in a weird way. The person you're talking to will probably generally have a lot to say about it because people are passionate about their lawns.
That's it. There's a few memes about the guy wanting to talk about lawns at the local barbecue and being shunned, but I don't think that's the case. There's definitely a common interest.
That's
there.
a pre-COVID meme.
Pre-COVID meme, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's it for today.
Cool.
Thanks, Joe.
No, thanks, Nate. Thanks for bringing this up. And as usual, if anyone's got any questions, they can jump on our social pages and leave a comment or ask a question, or they can give our office or one of our members a call or an email, and we're always happy to help. But thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.